Well, I am here with the great Patrick Reynolds. As you can tell, I am as gussied up as I have been, for an interview of this stature. Patrick is the CMO of BlueConic, does really remarkable work. I've seen him speak before, and always find it to be really thoughtful and edifying. So we are here talking today about the state of the B2B CMO. Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Nice to see you looking so sharp, so fly.
I know it. I know it's a fly. That's me. So to get this thing kicked off, I mean, there it is a really unique time in the B2B ecosystem, right? There's been like 5 years of real innovation on the data side, these great platforms. I know you've had some great experience working within some of the more sophisticated, ABM and ABX platforms. I guess I'd be curious to hear from you now as like Gen AI kind of starts to complement that whole tech and data transformation. When you're looking out over the role of a B2B CMO, what are the things that you're excited about, and what are the things that are keeping you up at night?
Oh Lord, there's certainly more of the former than the latter. Unfortunately, that's more of my. I think that speaks more to my disposition. But look, I think the same thing excites me and keeps me up at night. I would say chief among them is the proliferation of technology. I think some of the technologies that people are developing, are incredibly exciting, and they help B2C marketers, in my case, do their job at a level that maybe they couldn't have done prior, and that's super exciting. However, I kind of equally worry about what I kind of think of as marketing fracking.
Yeah.
We have taken the jobs of marketing and we sort of atomize them into these very minute particular tasks, and each of those tasks often has a very specific piece of software associated with it. So everyone now, I think, is wrestling with the dilemma of best of breed, i.e., one throat to choke.
Yeah.
I don't want 99 different marketing vendors to deal with,
Yeah.
but I do want those vendors that are best at what they do, and that's generally not the person that does everything. And so that's the sort of tuggle, the struggle and the tug and pull that we're facing, I think.
Well, that's really interesting, and it's very kind of empathetic to the reality of marketers. And I think sometimes CMOs, and this, I will say, I would imagine both, I think, by your nature, but also by, knowing you fairly well at this, but but I think also the nature of the business that you are growing, BlueConic, which is, and I hadn't actually even thought about this before we talked, is all about being effectively data a data solution for marketers who are actually doing the work. So my point, how I'm tying this together is, as a CMO, you have to have this kind of bird's eye view, and yet what you're describing here is the complexity of how do you create a solution that's relevant to the actual work being, the job to be done by all the different components of your marketing team without creating chaos. I don't know if you have any how how you sort of thread that needle. Is there a way to thread that needle, or are there things that you've seen that give you hope that that's a solution that is coming down the line for people in your position?
It's just honestly quite difficult. I mean, if you stop and think about it, the most elemental thing for marketing, whether you're talking about B2B or B2C, is understanding the customer. It has always been the job of
Yeah.
marketing to understand the customer better than anybody else in the building. And the problem is, it's gotten really, really difficult to do that. It's like from doing a 100-piece puzzle back, even a few years ago, where you take information from here, 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 and here, and then you pull back the camera and you can kind of get a composite of what's going on with the
Yep.
customer. Now
Yep.
that puzzle is like 10 million fucking pieces.
Yeah. Right.
And there's 9 million people that sit on that puzzle piece, and you got to ask them, can I have your puzzle piece, and can I have your puzzle piece, and
Right.
can I have your, and it just becomes quite unwieldy. And so having all these different looks at the customer and getting really granular information and insights and being able to create understanding from those is really cool and exciting. It keeps me up at night in an excited way. Having
Yeah.
said that, it's really unwieldy, and it's just a challenge that we're going to have to, as technology proliferates, we're going to have to figure out how to do it more elegantly than we are today.
Yeah, and that's that. So that and you've had a big career at great agencies like Hill Holiday, doing all kinds of great work. With the tools that we have now in B2B in trying to identify the buying committee and the, sort of developing these target account lists and then understanding the people, both the seen and the unseen buying committee, as is increasingly people are talking about. It's like the dark web of buying committees. Does it make it more challenging in your job to build a cohesive brand, right? When you're getting like a 6 Sense platform, very powerful tool, one that I know you have used, um, delivering all of this data, does it make it hard to then ladder that up to a big brand reimagination like you've also just gone through? Or is there a way, how do you or is there any feedback that you can give about how to accomplish that, right?
Yeah, there's a way. It's just a really hard way. It's the difficult way. I think they pay us the quote unquote big bucks, not as big as they used to, but they pay us the big bucks to figure out the way. And the best recommendation I would give anyone is to don't lose your humanity in and amongst all this technology. So you have
Yeah.
to still have. I still believe there is a place for gut in marketing. I still believe there is a place for taste in marketing. I
Yep.
still believe there is an exalted place for feel in marketing. And
Yeah.
ones and zeros, however translated, can't do that. It can inform your gut, it can give you a different feel, but at the end of the day, you still need people who have human qualities that can make great work, in my view.
Yeah, I think that's true, and I think just you're getting the cavalry is coming, right? There's great data I think coming out of groups like LinkedIn, supporting that emotional salient creative, the kind of how brands grow, Byron Sharp, Ehrenberg Bass stuff has incredible application to B2B. Um, we started a little bit talking about the tech and the data, but how does that ladder up into a creative process to come up with data for doers, right? It's a great sort of brand platform that you've recently created, and I think really speaks to the superpower of BlueConic and to the fundamental end user. How did that process play out for you, right? As you were generating strategic insight, et cetera, and then bringing it to life.
Yeah. So it started actually with, I want to say it was a Gartner report that we read a couple of years ago that had a really interesting thing in it. I think intuitively, again, my gut said, well, that kind of checks out, but they put data behind it, which was interesting. And that essentially says that there's a data paradox. And I think you could substitute technology for data in this instance, but I'll keep it
Yep.
data for a second. And the data paradox said that when Gartner spoke to hundreds and hundreds of marketers, they almost invariably said, the more data I have and collect, the harder my job gets and the actual worse delivery I get for my. So think about think
So
about
let's spend a lot of money on getting more of that.
right. And let's pay to house it all, and let's assume the risk of keeping it safe, and right, and the more we do this, uh, our reward is it's harder to do a worse job than we've ever done in the past. And then we go, geez, why aren't people going into marketing more? I wonder. Well, that could have something to do with it. So what we said is marketing has to reconnect with its central charter, its mission, which is to engage with customers at a deep, meaningful level. And you
Hmm.
can do that with data, and you can do that with technology if you have the right data and the right technology, and they are harnessed in service to the job to be done, which maybe
Hmm.
you call it marketing engagement. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We don't need all the data. We just need the right data for our marketer customer to do the jobs they need to do for their customers. How do you deliver experiences that really resonate instead of just treating everybody with insert name here in parens?
Very, very cool. Awesome. So, all right. So we've touched a little bit upon, sort of creative and the data ecosystem. I know that you have a tight leadership team. I know that BlueConic is at an exciting point of inflection. How do you feel like your seat at the table, what the CMO's seat at the table, as we look at where the CMO, how the CMO is perceived by the business itself, and is there any feedback you can give based on your own experience and how to make sure that that relatively new seat at the table, at the C table, is perceived as driving the value that they are driving?
So listen, the evolution from kids table to big kids table, grown up table. Let's face it, it is cyclical. There's no doubt in my mind that I will be back at the kids table on the way to sitting on the floor in the basement, soon. Every marketer will make that odyssey, that Homeric odyssey from kids table to grown up table to basement on the floor. That's just the nature of the deal. And you can keep at the adult table longer if you can do the things we talked about, which is actually shine a light on what the marketing team knows about customers.
Yep.
What do they like, what do they not like, what do they respond to, what do they not respond to. Not they opened this email or we had this many impressions. So the number
Right,
one
right.
advice I always give people is talk business talk, don't talk marketing talk.
Yep.
At the big kids table, you can have your nerd out marketing
Yeah.
convos over at the kids table, and you'll have it
You can high
running
five, you can high five CPVs, but you probably shouldn't
exactly.
have it on a board deck.
Woo! Try having that conversation with the CFO. I promise
Right.
you, it doesn't end well. It gets you to the
Yep.
basement like directly.
Right.
And the other thing is the tools. We out of necessity, right? We have a lot of tools that we're using, and they have to be conveyed and communicated in a way that the rest of the organization at a senior level can understand what role they play and how they add value to this matrix approach that we're taking to the marketplace. You just can't be like, yep, I need another subscription. Yep, I need another subscription. Yep, we have a renewal deal here. What do these things do? If you can't articulate what the things do independently and in concert with one another,
Right.
you'll be in the basement sooner than later.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. And is there any other, if you were thinking, again, looking where I was, with a report like this, or and obviously the insights where will call from your wisdom, your wizened point of view, is, will be reflected in this state of the B2B CMO report. Are there any surprising things that you think are worth communicating or calling out based on the ecosystem today and perhaps how things like Gen AI are starting to have some implication on the work of a CMO?
Again, I think it's what do they say in Buddhism? I think the obstacle is the way, or something like that. The obstacle is the path, and that's the case here with technology. I really mean that sincerely, and I will
Yeah,
hold AI off to the side a little bit for a second, and then I'll come back to it.
yeah,
But to me, the tools exist. The data can be collected and gleaned to really understand customers at huge scale in a way never before possible. Okay.
yep,
When I was a young buck, you go to focus groups and you do ethnographies and do these things for 8 people, and you go, okay, this is what the world wants. We've asked 8 people, and right. So now you can do that at a scale never before attainable, and that's
yep,
hugely interesting. But you have to do that. You got to close the loop and be like, this data paints the following picture, and because we have such a robust 3D, 4D picture, we're able to do the following things which drive the commercials of our business. That's the sort of virtuous circle that we're looking to close here.
very cool. And
AI
as it,
allows me to
that's a
do stupid stuff easily, right? So things that are boring, time consuming, low skill, candidly, you can ask
yep,
AI to do. So start, here's some data, organize it in a way that is accessible, or
yeah,
here's some nuggets, draft a simple email or whatever. It allows us to recover time
yeah,
That's really cool. It also allows us to do some much higher order things, which I am of two minds about, because very soon you will have some hologram on the other side of the screen, not me, because I will be redundant.
Yeah. Well, I will never have that hologram on the side of the screen, Patrick, because I like talking to you.